Welcome back to DevOps Camp. This is another video of the Python tutorial series. In this video, I will be discussing about Python data types. Before diving into the data types, let's discuss about what is a variable. Simply, variable is a named storage location that holds a value or data. These are called variable because the value of them can change during the program. A variable gets a reserved location in the computer's memory. Now, let's discuss about data types. So, what is a data type? It's the foundational concept that categorizes the kind of value associated with variables and determine how the programmer can manipulate those values. Understanding Python's data types is similar to learning the alphabet before forming words and sentences. However, as a dynamically typed language, Python simplifies the use of variables, making it less intimidating for newcomers. So what's the meaning of dynamically typed language? In dynamically typed languages, the programmer does not need to declare the data type of a variable, unless there is a special case. The data type is determined by the runtime itself, during the execution of the program based on the code and its usage. If we take an example, we can see that in the Python program on the left, the type of the variable x and y is not mentioned. However, in other programming languages like C and Java, it's essential to declare the data type of a variable, and it's a part of the syntax. In Python, there are mainly 4 data types. They are integers, floats, strings, and booleans. I will discuss about each one of these in the next slides, with real practical examples. Integers, which also known as whole numbers, can be of positive or negative whole numbers, without any decimal point. Let's begin with an example. I will be creating 2 variables, namely, number 1 and number 2. I will assign the value 5 and 7, respectively, to each of these variables. Now, let's print the type of the variables, number 1 and number 2, into the console, using the Python built-in method print and type. I will now run the program. You can now see in the console, it's printed as class, int, for the type of the variables. Int stands for integer, as you may have assumed. Now, I will create a variable named sum, and assign the addition of the above 2 variables to it. I will discuss about the operators in Python, like the addition and subtraction in detail, through another video. Let's now print the type, and the value of the variable, sum, to the console. We can now see, the sum is printed as 12, which is correct. Also, since we have added an integer to an integer, the resulting variable is also an integer. However, when the 2 data types differ to each other, it's different. I will discuss about that in the floats section. Floats, which are also called as floating point numbers, is the next type of data type which we are going to discuss. Floats represent real numbers, which contain 1 or more decimal places. They are essential for calculations requiring precision. We incur lots of floating numbers when we deal with continuous data. Let's move on to some practice. Similar to the integers, I will create 2 variables and assign values to them. I will assign decimal numbers to the 2 variables first. And then, we'll check the types of the variables. After running the program, we can see that the type of the 2 variables is float. Now, I will change the value of number 1 to 5.0. Now, let's check the type of the variables again. As you have observed, it does not change. I am now going to change the value of number 1 to 5. And then, I will create another variable named sum to get the sum of 2 variables. Then, I will check the type of the sum variable. Now, we can see, when we add an integer and a floating number, the result we get is a floating point number. Let's talk about strings now. Strings are sequences of characters used for storing and representing text data. Python strings can be enclosed in single quotes, as well as double quotes. I have talked about Python strings in another video which is regarding Python syntax. Now, I will move on to some real-life example. I will create two variables named first name and second name. Then, I will assign Ross as the first name and Taylor as the second name. As mentioned earlier, you can either use single or double quotes to wrap the text. Now, I will first print the type of the two variables. Now, I will first print the type of the two variables. Then, I'll print the addition of first name and the second name to the console. You can do it as follows. However, you can't add an integer variable to a string. If you do so, you will get an error. If you want to join an integer value to a string, then you will need to change the type of the integer variable to string. I will discuss more about string concatenation in another video. When you run the command, you will see Ross Taylor is joined together without a space in the middle. We can add a space as follows. When you run the command now, you will see the issue is fixed. If you don't understand everything here, no need to worry. I will include more explanation in the string concatenation video. Let's talk about booleans now. Boolean is also one of the data types, which is used in lots of important situations in programming. Boolean variables can only contain the values true or false, with the first letter capital in each of the word. I will now create a variable named isTrue, and I will assign the value false to it. Now, we can check the type of the variable isTrue. As expected, it will print bool, which stands for Boolean. Boolean variables are used in places like conditional statements, as well as loops, which we will talk about in the upcoming videos. Even though there are some other data types, these are the main and mostly used data types in Python. That concludes this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. Like the video, and subscribe to DevOps Camp for more interesting content. Thank you for watching.